Meeting to order at 7 o'clock. This is the meeting of the Parks Commission, March 26th, 2025 at 7 p.m. I'm going to open the meeting by taking members' roll call. So we have present Karen
Menard.
Chris Sullivan.
and Anita Shipers. Not present tonight are Colleen Shapiro and Tim Lawless.
Just kidding.
Amend that.
Amend that. Everybody is present. Everybody is here.
I saw the blue one.
We have everyone present.
Chris
Chris
will
Ruth
sit
is
there.
just
You get to sit here.
Tim, move the chair up.
All members present. Colleen Shapiro and Tim Lawless are now here. Okay. All right, we do
It's the
not
same color
have
on both sides.
someone taking minutes for
Downstairs.
us, so I was hoping that somebody tonight would be willing to be the minutes taker.
I'll do it.
Informal minutes taker?
I'll do all the minutes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Get you.
I did them for 6 years prior. I might as well just continue.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the facilities director update.
So not a huge update yet, as the snow's just started melting, but the landscapers have gotten out and completed the cleanups for the softball field and Powell Field at Marshall. They are scheduled to do the 90-foot diamond tomorrow, and then I believe they're gonna jump to McNally and Fitzgerald after that. Other than that, not a whole lot has happened as far as parks work. I do have the financial sheets to pass out to you guys if you want to take a look, but since they just started, nothing's been billed against it yet, so not a whole lot to see.
Okay, so maybe what we can do is we'll just give everybody a copy tonight. You have copies for everybody?
I have 5 copies.
Okay, we'll pass it out tonight, and then we can have you update us more at the next meeting?
Yeah, the bills will be coming in by that point, so.
Okay,
I want to say, this is the revolving account, and then this is the facilities accounts.
okay, so if anybody who's interested wants to take a look at it, please grab a sheet there. Colleen, do you want a copy?
Yes.
Okay,
You have the other one?
Oh, yeah.
One of those goes to.
okay.
This is the revolving account, and that's the rest of the facilities, the rest of the parks ones.
Okay.
Thanks.
So that is revolving.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
the one page is revolving. One's double-sided, one's not.
Okay,
I was like, they're both one page.
so the one-sided is the revolving.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so if anybody has any questions of Chris in the meantime, after you've taken a look at it, feel free to give him a call or send him a text or an email. Okay, recreation director update.
So a lot of stuff going on, obviously. It's been a few months. So April vacation's coming up. We did end session 3 of pickleball today for Wednesdays. The Thursday one ends next Thursday. We don't have another one starting after that. We do have Wednesday starting again for just 4 weeks. The reason for that is MIIA is running like a Zumba workout type of thing, and they want to use TCP. So we had to kind of switch stuff around. Usually they go outside around this time of year anyways, but I have had requests for them to extend inside, as well as the Adult Activity Center usually ends around end of April, but they want to also use the gym still, May, June, before school gets out.
You said the MIAA is running a Zumba?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, the
our
insurance.
It's the insurance thing.
the
They do
our
it quite
insurance
often.
company runs them. I don't know what they normally use, Turkey Hill maybe.
I don't know, they do a lot of wellness stuff, some,
Yeah.
do it on your own.
And they come and go. They sort of they
Yeah.
don't do it year round.
Yeah, so I think it's like a 5 or 6 week thing. But that's
Yeah.
kind of why the end of the spring we don't have anything really in there for that reason, because they're doing it once a week. Doesn't
Always
affect
learning.
anything else though.
I'm always learning.
So April vacation program, same thing we did for February. It worked out really well for the most part. So we ran 2 programs at once. We ran in the gym the multi-sports program, and then we did a full day and a half day option for the sit-down programs. So we have enough to run the STEM programs as is right now. We definitely need a little bit more for the multi-sports programs to run. But I keep doing email blasts and stuff like that, so hopefully we'll catch some stragglers. In terms of summer programs, we do have like some gaps there. So like for instance, we're gonna start the week after school gets out. We're gonna offer the STEM program that. We already have 5 registrations for that, so that's great. After that, we do have a bit of a break. It's like a 3-week break, and then we'll do another Snapology program the same week that we have Best Soccer running. So Best Soccer, we already have 12 registrations, which is great.
That's almost
I
popular.
think we need just like 20-ish to run it. So I think we'll definitely have those numbers. And then we're running the multi-sports program for the younger kids, which is 5 to 7 for 1 week. And then another week we'll do the older kids. And then we'll end the summer with 1 more of the Snapology programs. I definitely am still kind of looking for some things to add in there. So like an arts program of some sort. I think it's kind of difficult to find something that they'll come to you for about 3 hours for a full week. So I'm gonna look for something like that. I've tried, but it's also really expensive to run arts programs with an instructor. So I've kind of run into that problem. The other thing I didn't check is Nashua River Watershed Association. We worked with them before. I'll see if they have any interest in doing something. Typically that's like a 3-day program for about 2 hours each. So I'll see if they have any interest in it. But so far the numbers are good for summer, and I think it's helpful that we got the word out a lot sooner this year. Just in terms of the beach, the hiring's actually going pretty well. Jared Bowser put his application in to be beach director, which is great. He knows the place inside and out, so I think he'd be a great addition to it. We're having issues finding a certification for the water safety instructor. It's that they don't offer the program super often anymore, and it's hard to find, and it's also hard for whoever is taking the program to find a date that works for them. So I've run into that issue a little bit.
So, and this may not be possible, we need water safety instructor certification to offer Red Cross certification.
Right.
Is there any reason why we have to run a Red Cross swimming program?
I don't know the answer to that.
Like, could we just, if we can't get somebody that has their water safety instructor certification, they have their lifeguarding certification,
Yeah.
they have had experience teaching swim lessons, is it possible if we can't get that certification in, get somebody to do that WSI, could we just offer Lunenburg swim lessons that you don't get a Red Cross card at the end?
I can definitely look into that. I don't know the answer to that. Everywhere I've been that's done swim lessons has done through Red Cross, and I assume there's a reason for that. Especially like when we also have to pay to do the Learn to Swim program, you know. So obviously, if that was an option, that'd be a cheaper way to go. But
I would think that it would be, because like we've taken swim lessons at like years ago at say the Y,
Yeah.
and we didn't get a Red Cross certification card at the end of it.
Did you get anything? Because I would think the Y would have their own.
I'm sure they
Type
do
of-
because they're a big thing, but I don't remember getting anything saying at the end like you completed level 1.
Right.
level
My
2.
kids did it at Benjamin Hill and didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth asking
Maybe
the
we
questions.
need
Yeah, definitely. I
That's an
agree.
interesting,
Yeah, that's the
Interesting
biggest
point.
issue I've run into is they do run like a lot more of like the lifeguard recertification or the lifeguard certification courses. So that's been difficult to find somebody that can get their WSI. I have Jared looking into it as well as Brianna Bowser because she's the only one returning that has taught swim lessons before. So that's the other piece of it is that even if we do run them, the first session she's the only one who's done it. We have one person that we hired already coming back in, hasn't been working here before, first time lifeguard, and then I have 2 possibly coming in, 2 sisters. They both have like 4+ years of experience.
Did you get Grady? Is Grady the new? Do you get Grady Smith? He's one who emailed you about his dad said he put an application, I thought.
Oh,
But if you
okay.
don't
I'll
have
look
it, then
into it.
I'll.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
These 2 girls have a lot of experience. They also have taught like actual like high school swim before, so I think that'd be great. They just got their recertifications as well, so I'm waiting for that to come in. I am checking to see, I mentioned this to Chris Ruth earlier, but I asked Julie like what we need to stay within parameter wise like per week, like so it doesn't
For
fall
hours.
under something else.
Mhm.
So I think,
For the number of hours per lifeguard,
correct,
there isn't any.
there isn't any. Okay, she said something about 30 hours, so I wasn't sure.
No, I'm 99.9% positive there's no hours on it,
Okay.
it's just the number of days.
Okay. So that's another thing is because obviously hiring people, I'm asking how many hours they want or need just to make sure that's still fitting. We haven't closed, applications yet, but it's at the point where I'm getting a lot and I'm actually like not sure we need anymore. But that's just dependent also on if we're running swim lessons, we need extra bodies in that case, stuff like that. I don't know if you want to mention the hours now,
It
but
doesn't, you ready for the hours?
yeah, just because
Sure.
I think it would be helpful at least to maybe just take 1 hour off the back end of it.
Yep. So I spent some time this fall sort of going through all the information that Angela had provided, and there was some gaps there, so I wasn't comfortable putting together data before July 18th and showing it to anybody and saying, here's all this. But I did get a good, just over a month-long idea of attendance, and from the 18th through the 2nd of August, that's when swim lessons were running, and we had great turnouts. We had 25, 27 people. One day we had 91, another day we had 69, 63, 82. And that was that was during swim lessons though. But then we peter out towards the end of the season. We went for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went with a 7-day period. Out of those 7 days, 4 of them had no attendees, and the other ones were 1 person, 2 people, and 6 people.
Part of me
Some-
wonders if that's like a issue with like scan-ins or like.
Jared, if that's you that's on, if you feel like chiming in, feel free to unmute yourself. Because you would have more information than I do. I don't think that it was. I think that we just have low attendance at the end of the
Okay.
season
Okay.
like that. But I don't have a good, when I look at the afternoon attendance is low across the board.
Yeah.
It's the morning attendance that drives up swim lessons. So, I don't know what the answer is to, whether we cut an hour off the end. But I think we need to make some sort of adjustment
Yeah.
in there. Even if it's on the weekends, I don't know if we can fine tune what our Saturday and Sunday attendees are, but maybe we're only open from 12 to 4 instead of 12 to 6. Oh, there's Jared. Jared, can you unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. Sorry about the video, Jared. I can't figure out how to get it on.
No worries. Audio's fine. So, as for the attendance, I would say by the end of the season, it definitely got quieter. I also do think that after the whole closing for the bacteria, a lot of people were like, okay, I'm done, I'm not coming back. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say on that.
Jared, in the afternoon hours, it's like the Saturday hours, do you remember if there was a lot of attendance from 4 o'clock onwards?
Yes, I wouldn't say during the week, but on weekends that tended to be, or at least on Sundays, was the busier portion of the day.
Okay.
But definitely on like the weekdays, usually by 6, there might be like 1 family left.
Jared, on non-swim weeks, would it make more sense to, right now I think we're open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
even during non-swim weeks. Would it make more sense, do you think, to not open until noon on those non-swim lesson weeks? And be open from 12 to 7 or 12 to 6, Monday through Friday versus 10 to 6?
I definitely think you could shorten it either to 11 to 6 or 12 to 6.
Okay.
I would say it's hard because it's hard to tell because obviously by the end of the season most people are kind of like phasing out of summer, so there is a lower attendance. So I'm not sure if the opening at 12 is really. I'm not sure how much of a difference it's going to make if you did
Okay.
maybe 11 to 6 instead.
Okay.
I definitely don't think we should change the weekend hours. I think
12 to
if
6.
anything, like taking off an hour, even if you want to do an hour later in the morning and then like an hour earlier in the afternoon or something. I think that's probably, like, looking at the data, and also just, I'm sure a lot of people want to at least have 6 hours there if they're using it on weekends. So
Okay.
that's just my,
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on either way.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does. You know, but we're definitely, our attendance is definitely much higher during swim lesson weeks than we are
yeah.
during non-swim lesson weeks.
And that's the other thing I was hoping, especially with us, at least, like, say session 1, we do have a WSI certified person, we have to go through Red Cross, offering, like, since we only have Brianna who knows what she's doing, have one girl shadow at least, or whoever wants to, you know, to start teaching lessons, and also do a session in the afternoon. That I think would be helpful, and I think that would be also helpful for parents who need to truck their kids around after work. So I'd like to be able to at least offer that, which kind of would affect, I guess, like, the closing hours as well, but
Yep.
I was thinking like 4 to 5 or something.
Yeah.
Especially if we can only run one at a time.
I like the idea of afternoons, like late
Yeah.
afternoon swim lessons. I think it just gives the opportunity for
Yeah,
some working parents.
yeah. I
who, you know,
think
can't get
that would
there.
be a good idea, and I think that would also bump numbers in the afternoon too.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's just definitely something I want to look into. The only other thing regarding the beach, which Anita wanted me to put just in this, is just every year the Neshoba Board of Health just sends us, like, this is what needs to be posted. It's the same stuff, I think, every year, but just the dates of operation, the name and phone number of beach operator. I'd probably use Chris because I'm only there 3 days a week.
That's fine.
And then just like that, a note that basically outside of those date ranges, the water won't be tested. So that's just something we have to post there.
Okay.
And the beach is closed outside of those ranges anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I'll mention this again, which this happened last year, but during the situation with the beach closing due to the bacteria, somebody decided to park along the side of the fence, crawl under the fence with their children,
Oh, no.
and use the beach. So not only were we closed because it was like 7 p.m. and I was running yoga on the other side of the beach, it's the only reason I was there, but the water wasn't even safe. So I think maybe us having a few signs that just say do not crawl under this fence, and, you know,
Can
whatever.
you get a couple of boulders on that, on the beach side to cover that hole?
It's,
Or is it too much?
we've been looking at that, it's the whole length of it.
Yeah.
Because we actually I was there one day and a kid climbed under the fence and almost ran into traffic, so
Oh, nice.
we're trying to see what we can come up with to close it up better.
Okay.
They added curb to the side of it to help with the water runoff, which has made it a little tighter, but,
Right.
you know, little kids can fit
Yeah.
pretty good.
Trespassers will be prosecuted,
I was like, I kind of want to call the
which they
cops
could
because
be. I
because
mean,
I asked her multiple
legitimately
times,
trespassing.
like, can you please leave? And I was like, the water's not safe. And then they were like, can we go in this way instead of like, I'm like, you crawled in, you should just crawl out that way. But yeah, I did let them in. But
They crawled in while you were there?
so I was on the, you know, like the flat side of the beach to the left of the, so I run like, we have somebody do yoga there, like sunset yoga. So I was like there late. But yeah, we were done yoga. So it was probably about 7 p.m. And I see somebody in the water. And so that situation had me a little upset.
The weird thing is about that water though too, I mean, you could absolutely access our beach from kayak, any other
Right,
place,
right,
they can get in there. But our beach had tested high, but if I remember correctly, that same time frame, at least one of the other 2 beaches on that lake
Yeah.
didn't test high. So
It's also been the same vice versa.
right,
So
right.
it's
So
like,
it's one of those, it's a hard situation.
It's
It's
the
the geese
geese.
and ducks,
It's
right?
the geese.
It's that, it's the way
Yeah,
the water
I think.
flows, it's a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
there's
things,
nothing you can
but,
do about
you
it.
know, it's one of those things
It's
where we
like
could probably
Fox
post a million
statues
signs.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
If people are gonna go in, they're gonna go in.
Right.
So we
So
get just like a small sandwich board that can be put out at the beach, you know, near the water line where, you know, no swimming due to, you know, however nicely you want to put it, bacteria count or whatever.
yeah, we could, but so no, like I mean yes, but nobody should be on the beach in the first place, I
Right.
guess, in that case. But I don't think that would hurt either.
I can pass the hours along to the police chief and just have the guys just swing by, and if they see people out there when it's closed, just
Yeah.
do it.
That just made me think like how many times has this happened that we're not aware of. Plus like, you know, just like what if something happens? You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
so
it's
that
it's a liability issue.
exactly.
So I wonder if we need to have, and this might be a question for council too, would be more like where we are a locked beach. We don't have any signage up outside, like,
hours posted or anything.
yeah, well, sometimes we have hours posted, but I'm wondering if we need to put something up so that we don't have any liability if something, like if something had happened in
Right.
that situation. I'm wondering if something needs to be posted, outside to,
Yeah, I'm
I
open
don't know,
to
we don't
any
post it at our
ideas.
playgrounds, but. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I'm open to any
Any
ideas, I just wanna avoid that happening, which obviously people are gonna do what they're gonna do regardless, and I'm sure they knew they shouldn't have done that if you're crawling under a fence and the door's locked, but,
You'd think.
you know, I don't know.
It was hot out though.
Yeah,
So what, can we just have a sign that says, no swimming during, when beach is closed, and no swimming when there's no lifeguard on duty?
I think that would be
Yeah, we can
sufficient
make
enough,
adjustments for that.
definitely,
Post the hours and just, if it's closed, stay off,
yeah.
the police will enforce it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Okay.
idea. That's all I really have regarding the beach. So spring vendor fairs next. Josie, I don't know if you want to kind of talk first. So
You're not gonna be able to see our video's not working, but she is.
okay. So obviously me and Josie partnered on this. She's done more of like the vendors, the food trucks, that side of things. She did a lot of stuff, work for the entertainment. She also did send a link to me to share it to you guys, where she put together like a map of where everything kind of is planning on going.
That's an impressive
That was
map.
Yes, thank you, Josie.
I was really,
Yeah,
mine wouldn't
unmute.
open. I was really disappointed.
Josie, do you wanna unmute? There you go.
I wonder why, Chris.
Android.
It's-
Android is Google. Google is Android.
I don't know. It's
Should work better on an
It's
iPhone.
usually your phone.
Would you
Generally should work
like
better
me
than
to
on an iPhone.
share my screen and
So-
pull that up?
The problem is we are having technical difficulties, so we don't have anybody's. You can,
Well, she
actually,
shares-
you
yeah, she
can
shares
try,
it,
if
yeah.
you share yours, we might be able to see it. You just
We-
won't be able to see us.
We might still be able to do that part. Let me
Yeah.
pull it up real quick.
Let me see if I have to give you permission to share. Yeah, you should be good.
Okay, just a minute, it's loading.
How long did it take you to create that map?
You don't want to know.
I was so impressed when I
I
saw it.
I couldn't believe it. I
I
was
know.
like, a Google Earth map of the fair?
I'm glad she could do
What?
it because I would not be able
And
to
then
figure it
I was
out.
like, oh
I have
my
insomnia.
We've already had nightmares. It's fine.
Let's see.
I told Grady's dad to have Grady email you.
Please, because
I saw him at basketball. He was like, Grady, what? What's going on?
I probably should
Okay.
have noticed.
Josie, can you introduce yourself first, just so we have it for the record?
Sure. My name is Josie Gilchrist, and I'm with the Lunenburg Business Association.
Thank you.
And why is none of it show? Can you guys see my screen?
You can see your screen.
But it doesn't have all your fancy.
I know. And that's concerning.
I can try to pull it up on mine now that I realize we can share the screens this way. Because I have two laptops on.
Karen, it's there.
Yeah, it
Just
just
a
doesn't
minute.
have the, she has labels on it, Dave. It's one of the most unbelievable maps I've ever seen.
Yeah, nobody can see it. That's so sad. Come on.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I'm gonna. So, anyways, we were. I'm not sure, Angela, how much you've said, but I'm just gonna kind of do my little sales pitch thing.
Yep, I let you talk first. I haven't said anything yet, so it's all you.
Okay. So, Angela, first of all, has been phenomenal to collaborate with. I feel like we've worked very well together, and she's done a remarkable job with the limited hours that she's been able to put towards this, allotted to her in her position. So I'm super impressed with that. Huge shout out to her and, the whole collaborative effort of many Town of Lunenburg departments to get this thing going, because it's been very much a learning curve for both Angela and I. I've not put together anything to this scale before, and it's been something that I've really wanted to do for several years. But without her, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. So it's been great to collaborate, and I hope that this does well enough to where we can make it an annual event. We're still learning, and I'm sure that even after the event, there will be things where we're like, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to kind of the aftermath too, and the learning curve that that's going to present to us. But I'm very hopeful that this is something that the town will want to bring back year after year, and I hope that the Lunenburg Business Association can continue to collaborate on it. I don't feel like this fair is owned by any particular entity. It's been so collaborative, with just, I mean, you can see all these little black dots. Those are all table vendors from near and far, that have come together, and we've got a lot of volunteers already, not in the volunteer capacity that we're trying to find, like to direct traffic and to stand by games, but people that have volunteered to offer like the foam sword fighting zone here, and the STEM station outdoor games supplied by the Lunenburg Public Library. The Adult Activity Center here has offered to allow us to use the pavilion, the dining area. There are parking area for food trucks, which we have here. And then the Teen Center is also collaborating by offering like a prison break fundraiser, a Touch a Truck event. And everybody's just been very helpful in kind of pulling together and offering solutions to problems or ideas to make this a very fun, family-friendly, single day event. Does anybody have any questions?
Is the grade, like where the table of vendors are, is the grade of that a concern at all? There is a slope over on the lawn there, just, I don't, like in terms of the
The
type,
slope here that you're saying?
the type of vendors, like the tables or whatnot, is that a?
It's pretty flat over there.
Like
It's a slight
So,
slope, but it's.
I strategically put
Starts getting
the
like right here.
rows, so
Yeah.
So each row has 9 vendors. These two will be back to back. Can you see my cursor? on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so these 2 rows 1 and 2, are going to be back to back, and then you're going to have about 30 feet of just walking space. And then you'll also have rows 3 and 4 back to back again. And I position them on this side of the field because there's the gradual slope headed towards TCP where it starts to kind of get a little bit more muddy if it's wet in that time. But with the slope going this way, I checked it out and I'm not super concerned.
In my brain, it was part of
About
the
that.
slope somewhere. Everywhere.
And too, even though I have these mapped out, it was more so for me to decide how, like literally how many vendors with a 12 by 12 space with 2 feet in between them and 4 feet between rows can I put on this field and still allow walking space and maneuverability. And so even though I have these mapped out in rows, I'm fine positioning people to where the grade of the lawn makes sense for them and they're not wobbling all over the place.
Are all these vendors signed up?
Yes, we have about 60 table vendors that have signed up.
Nice.
Josie, I know that there's been posts on social media and stuff looking for vendors, looking for volunteers. Is there going to be a switch at some point soon where we're going to be doing more of advertising the fair's coming and things like that with like an eye-catching sort of graphic that we can share on sites and maybe get printed up and post around town?
Yes, that's actually on my list to do tomorrow.
Can you make sure-
Angela and I met.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but can you make sure that the board outside past this building, Ritter,
Yeah.
gets changed to promote the fair?
Talk to Lisa for that.
Yep.
Are you talking about
So we're-
this sign?
Well, we're Ritter, I don't know if the school would switch it for us.
Oh,
it's
Ritter,
possible,
sorry,
but
yes.
we're over at Ritter
Gotcha.
today. I mean, if the school would switch it for us for, even if for.
I think it would be awesome. I don't have a
Or
contact, but
add to
whoever is in charge of digitally promoting on this sign, that would be so helpful
Okay.
to
Yeah.
have some sort
If I
of
was to make one suggestion to you guys on the advertising of this fair, and this is something that the Wayland Winter Farmers Market does, is when they put their information out, they list how many vendors are gonna be there, because that actually is a huge pull for people when they see that it's more than 3 or 4 vendors and they realize it's 60. For a lot of people, that's a big pull to get them in.
That's helpful.
I would tell people there's gonna be wine too.
Yes, so that's a whole nother can of worms that we're luckily Annie from Town Hall has kind of taken that on. She's gonna be involved in this as well, which I'm so thankful for. So that does lead another thing is she was also mentioning maybe like having like a brewery do the same thing, get a 1-day pouring license. If we're gonna offer wine, I'd love to be able to offer a beer too. So that's just, like, we still are working on that, but I think it's gonna pass. I think everything's gonna be fine with that. The only thing is, which I was thinking Josie as well, is maybe we, the night before, also kind of, I know it's kind of already in a blocked off area, but that's probably one of the things we need to do is make sure it's kind of a designated drinking area where you can't take it outside of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, we're planning on kind of, the night before is gonna be busy, the day before. We're planning on doing a lot of this legwork and like kind of sectioning off where the vendors will be and stuff like that the night before. I think we should just do that the night before as well, just to make sure that's done. I was gonna ask Chris Ruth if we can steal Don and Al to help with all that stuff on that Friday, would be great. But I think we're in pretty good shape so far, but as Josie said, we did have a meeting on Monday, and that's when we kind of discussed more. She had some signage already, like, kind of that she plans on using, and I think it was great, so stuff like that, we just kind of get it printed and now at that point out, because everything primarily is through Facebook and email blasts and all that right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing really physically put out there.
If anybody has any connections with, so, I mean, I'm gonna try to, I mean, obviously blast it on the Lunenburg Business Association Facebook page, but other than that, I'm like, I always struggle with how to get information out to the public, so if anybody's on any other,
I'm on 67 Lunenburg Facebook pages, so if you have what
Yes.
you want, if you know what you want posted, I'm happy to post them to all the.
who's talking right
That's
now?
Chris
Chris Sullivan, sorry.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I'm happy to post whatever.
Literally 60.
okay.
Yeah, I feel like
So
it's
once I
67
get that
Lunenburg.
visual up of more of like a lure for attendees to come, I'll send that to Angela, and maybe she can
Yeah.
send it to
She's-
all of you.
She's
So
really
I
good
mean,
at that.
really we're just trying to build a network of people who can just blast it to whoever and whatever contacts they have. Because the only marketing that I have available to me is just really word of mouth connections and
Yeah.
email newsletters of people that I know that have access to.
With this events for kids and stuff too, I would think maybe the schools would help publicize that a little bit.
I hope
Library
so.
For sure.
Yeah.
There is, so I did reach out, because I reached out a while ago, but this was before I'm sure they had any spring stuff planned. There is soccer that day.
There is, yeah.
There is soccer that day, which I did send a message to like the athletic director of the school, like I
So
sent
the
it to
That would be
soccer
what-
that
that'd be
day is
Lisa.
gonna be Lunenburg soccer.
Lunenburg.
Okay, so I'll have to reach out to them specifically, but just so they have a heads up, that this is going
Are
on.
they using this field or are they using the turf?
No, they would be down.
No, they'd be using
Is it
the,
at the turf?
where's the,
They'd
where?
be on the 2 fields inside the
Are
fence.
they,
Yeah, where you
And
just
maybe,
were,
and maybe
Joseph.
the front field. Oh, sorry, I didn't see where you were pointing.
Right here.
The 2 fields inside the
Yeah, they'll
fence,
be in there.
or maybe the front field there.
They'll be in one of these
Okay.
fields here.
Yeah.
They should be parking, as I'm moving my cursor, you can't see me, but usually for soccer, they tend to park, over to the right-hand side where,
By the tennis court.
by the tennis court.
That would be an important thing to emphasize with them, depending on the schedule of games, so to make sure all the coaches are asking everybody to park in that tennis court lot.
Yeah, because they park up high.
Because they do
by
park on the
TCP.
high lot, they like to climb down the wall and jump
Yeah.
over the wall they're not supposed to jump over.
Yeah, and some people sit up
I
there.
also
and
don't-
everything.
I also don't see really an issue with that because, I mean, it's right there and I feel like people are gonna bounce over and enjoy
Yeah.
themselves at the fair.
And we
also
are
right-
having the shuttle from basically
Yeah.
those parking lots that we're gonna be looping around. So good and bad. I think probably more importantly for the soccer is to just tell them to like make sure they come early so like they have parking spots, so that's not an issue.
They'll turn, yeah, I mean, the games
Yeah,
are like
they'll
an
have-
hour, so they're
They'll
in
have gates
Okay.
at
They're in and out.
9,
Yeah.
9,
10:30, 10:30,
noon,
noon,
2:30, and 4.
1:30,
1:30 and 4.
3, 1:30, 3, and then,
You get
4:30.
what-
I
So
would-
we'll be rotating through
Okay.
all day.
but not necessarily at all those times, like the
Right.
schedule, I don't know if the schedule's out,
I don't know if it is,
so I haven't seen anything.
I just
haven't
think,
got a roster
I just
date,
think that
so-
the school was able able to tell me that like they were being used. I didn't
Yeah.
know who was using it. I figured because I don't know, I knew the school wasn't using
Yeah,
soccer
it would
in
be-
the spring.
Yeah, but there
Um,
could be a 9 o'clock game and then not one at 10:30,
Right.
there could be 2 at noon.
Okay, and
And not one
the
at
fair
1:30.
does start at 11, so like at that point nobody should really be there. Like before that, all the vendors and stuff will kind of have parking like the lots like
The lot behind TCP.
the lot behind
So the lot
TCP.
behind TCP is what we were talking about, the kind of unfinished
Yes.
gravel lot
That's
here.
probably the best spot to have them.
Yeah, so stuff like that. I don't.
I'm concerned about if there's soccer going on, people parking along this edge.
So that would be, that's where the communication would come in. I'm one of the coaches for LISA too, so
You could put signs up
Yeah.
too, I mean, there's the,
Yeah.
we can get temporary police signs or something maybe. to-
Yeah, because
for
we
parking.
are having a detail. I don't know exactly where. They have 2 officers that they're letting us use for a detail. I don't know exactly where they're going to be stationed, but I think that was another thing to like make sure that there's actually traffic flow going there, because that whole loop's obviously going to be blocked off. So where that loop is, there's vendors in the middle, like we have the petting zoo right there and stuff like that. So that's obviously going to be blocked off.
And that curb, that side anyway is gonna have to be kept open, because they're gonna have to be bringing food drive. That day is the postal workers food drive.
So that's going to be the lot right like where the food pantry is.
Yeah, stop right there, Josie.
That we were gonna designate for that.
Okay, so they'll come.
We've
here.
already been in contact with them.
Yeah.
about
They're just
that,
they're
so-
just gonna need good passing, because if they don't have good passing, it just becomes a.
Yeah.
Oh, and the soccer people will park, like, all along the driveway.
Right.
If there's a game on that front,
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
definitely
they,
need
Those
to,
and
fields.
especially if there's parking spots taken,
yeah,
they
we'll
will park
definitely need
anywhere
to.
they can get their car, so they don't have to walk from anywhere.
a lot of them just park right there, take their seats out and put
Or they
their
sit on the
chairs out
sidewalk.
right
And
there.
they sit right
They
there.
sit right in the
So-
sidewalk, you're looking at
Convenient.
it.
You're
Yes.
gonna need signage,
Yeah.
because they will park there, and if the officer isn't standing there, they're
Right.
gonna be, they might be sitting there with their chair, but they might be off somewhere and not able to move the
You
car.
can see what DPW has available for cones and stuff too.
Yeah, I think we should get some of our own just to have extras, cause I'm sure I'm gonna need them. I was like, lots of caution tape, lots of cones,
Mhm.
walkie-talkies, you know, stuff like that. I'm in the like process of designing the volunteer t-shirts, it's not going well, but I don't know how to do that.
I don't mind helping.
But I think other than that, I think things are going pretty well.
When is the date on this?
We are working
May
on,
10th.
I had somebody from the LBA board call down that list of food trucks.
Oh, great.
And it's not looking awesome.
No, really?
The only 2 that were interested, were a barbecue truck out of, Groton,
Yep.
had asked a few questions, and then I believe that a coffee shop.
Oh, well, that, I think
So
if
I'm
we
trying
can do
to
those.
talk to local restaurants, local to Lunenburg restaurants about setting up tables here with QR codes for just delivery to the tables.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that I'm trying to lure more towards the event at this time, if anybody has any connections.
Okay.
Josie, did you reach out to Hollis Hills? I know they're trying to sell their pizza trailer right now, but they still have it.
Smokestack's got
Hollis Hills,
2 mobile trailers.
Yeah,
I don't believe was on the list that I received.
Was Smokestack on your list?
No.
That may be one, because they do have their mobile truck now.
I did reach out to Smokestack though,
Okay.
and they are unavailable.
Okay.
Hollis Hills is the one that's offering the hayride as well.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
But anyways, if anybody has any connections with local restaurant owners, I did
Is
send
the-
an email to
is
that.
the
There is
food truck-
not
I'm afraid to ask this
heard
question,
back.
but I'm gonna ask anyway. Is it food truck because of the Board of Health? So they only
Yeah.
want, they only want food trucks that have been approved by the Neshoba Board of Health? Is that
Correct.
in all locations, or just in Lunenburg? Because Neshoba Board of Health oversees many other towns.
I think what I heard is as long as they were good with the show, we're okay. I
So-
can confirm that tomorrow. but-
So Josie, do you have a list of all of the Neshoba?
Yeah, I do too.
So did
Yes.
that include,
It's not very long.
so Devon's just did a food truck festival, and I would assume that they're covered by Neshoba. where they-
Devon's where it's federal may not be.
I think they do their own permitting.
I would have thought they would have had
Yeah,
Something like that.
and so right now we do have some, but like really it's the twisted pickle, the cone ice, and then the cannoli truck, which doesn't give us a ton of variety, so
It would be nice to have a lunch place.
yeah,
The Lions do
yeah.
food?
The Lions, I've not heard from them about. Is that what you said? The Lions?
Yeah, the Lions Club, I don't know, like, sometimes they do, like homecoming, they have the grill set up and so forth. I don't know.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
know
okay.
how that worked with Board of Health, so
I would think they'd be,
Are
they'd
they
be
all
versed, they'd be
set?
versed with it, I mean, they do it every homecoming.
Right, they just, right.
Yeah.
Who should we contact for that?
Lisa
Lisa
Norman
So I
is
think I mentioned something to Lisa, but I think right after she went out, because she got her surgery and stuff, so I think that probably just fell through. I'll talk to her.
I can message her. I have her number.
Okay.
I might get in trouble for this, but it might be worth talking to the fire department. They have a big grill that they've brought to the senior center for events before, and the firefighters volunteer and cook.
Angela, I think you may have a contact for that. I don't have one
For who?
for the, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's 16 towns in Neshoba Board of Health, and all they have is a small list.
It's not
Yes.
very big. So I just got an updated one from Andrea,
Is that
and
what it is?
it's really small. How many is on there? Would you say like 15?
If even.
If
I was
even,
gonna
yeah,
say
it's
like-
very, I guess it's really difficult to get approved by the Neshoba Board of Health.
Of course.
So, kind of why we have those issues. I think that's really all I
So that's what I'm kind of working on, is just getting more food variety. But other than that, as far as vendors go, we're in good shape. For activities, Angela's gotten quite a few recently of just more games, more of a variety there, which we'll set up. Can you guys still see my screen?
Mhm.
So we'll set those up around this area here.
Nice.
So bouncy house is not possible.
What?
But now we know for future reference, which I think is a good thing because I saw like a nightmare thing on the news about bouncy houses. So it's probably for the best. So instead we have like a double basketball throwing thing. One's like a football throw thing, and then I got a big like axe throw thing that's like Velcro or something like that. So nothing's inflatable, so we should be in the clear for that.
Nothing's gonna fly away.
Nothing's gonna fly away. We have the dunk tank, which I actually asked if Annie could spread it out through like the whole town email, because at first I was gonna have just the police department volunteer to do it. Talking to the police chief, it doesn't like wasn't able to tell me, yeah, this person wants to do it or whatever. So I just made a big sign up sheet for like 2 people every 30 minutes or every hour, and just like anyone in the town who's an employee can volunteer. Alright.
Are there any more questions about the map or anything?
No,
We
it's
didn't
good.
really mention in the road closures. We have porta potties that are gonna be over in the small parking area next to the playground. We're gonna have Memorial Drive blocked off and the police.
Has that already been approved through select board, Josie?
I don't think we needed to get it
I
approved by select board.
We didn't need quite a few things because when they heard that the Parks
Oh, okay.
Commission was
Gotcha.
heading it up,
Yeah,
they
as long
kind
as
of just-
the DPW was aware and the police department and the fire department were aware
Okay.
of
You have a
that.
little bit of pull somewhere in town.
Yeah, I know, finally.
The date's the 10th, right?
Yes,
And it goes from 11 till when?
6.
6.
Alright, I think that's it, Josie, unless anyone else has a question for
No,
her.
Josie, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so
And
we'll
thank
be
you,
sending
Angela.
this, if everything looks good to you guys, I'm gonna send this link to this map to all of the vendors, so that way the flow during vendor setup will be a lot easier. And it'll be just kind of a digital map of the fairgrounds, But again, if anybody has any ideas for activities or any other groups local to Lunenburg or beyond that would like to get involved and offer activities.
Oh, and that's another thing, Josie, right before you leave. So if you look at row 8 there, she put it up for town tables, so that's the table for 300th anniversary. And then we're gonna open it to like other departments that wanna have a table there.
Mhm.
So there is some
The
space
police
there.
department said something about having a table for, what was it? Dispatch?
Yeah, yep. I don't know if that was talked about to them or,
Dispatch recruitment?
I think that's what it was for, right, Josie?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
But that's just gonna be reserved. I'm gonna block off an area for any town group, like committee, boards, whatever that wanna set up, as well as any responding organizations here in town. I'm not gonna really oversee that too much because it's either through the town or, I mean, it's the fire, police department, whatever branches they have that they wanna promote.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We also, another thing on here that's not listed yet is that in this area where the gate is blocking off from Foresta Memorial.
Mhm.
So this loop will be blocked off. People can't come this way, so this area is gonna be for a BMX bike show.
Oh, tell
So
them about the
that's
skateboards.
Oh, the
So cool.
Lunenburg Skate Park is partnering with the bank that they are members of. They're commissioning pieces from a lot of local artists to be artistic with skateboards. And so they're gonna be selling those skateboards
Interesting.
next to the BMX show,
Very good idea.
which is cool, so.
Awesome, thanks Josie.
And then the last thing that's not on here is that the Story School is going to be offering a scavenger hunt just to promote more people walking all throughout the fairgrounds, all the way to the teen center. So the hope is to spread out attendees from, this densely populated area all the way to the teen center by way of a scavenger hunt.
Very good.
So we've had to be very creative, and thank you again, Angela.
Thank you.
For the continued.
I appreciate all your help.
Yeah.
Did you
Okay.
get a, answer on kind of the age of volunteers?
There's no age restriction.
Okay.
I think. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Okay.
I did ask, and I'm pretty sure there was no age restriction.
There is for the dunk tank though, right?
Yeah. Which we're only letting town employees be
Right.
in the dunk tank anyways, so that should somewhat limit that.
I'll try and pull a few.
Yeah,
Just-
so I can resend you guys all the volunteer sheet. I do have some that have filled now.
I'll be around, I mean, I'm just planning to be around all
Please
day.
do.
Just fill in wherever-
Please do.
Wherever we need to go,
Yeah.
kind of deal.
So
But I think in terms of getting numbers and kids in and so forth,
Yeah.
National Honor Society.
So we did,
Or
I think we
sports
had a few
teams,
National Honor Society
or
kids sign up.
things
The
like
problem
that.
is I did send like an email blast, cause you can just go right on that volunteer thing and send an email. And I asked them to send me, their full name, their phone number, just so I can contact them, and then like their t-shirt size, so I'm kind of aware like what I need to order ahead. But nobody really answered me on that, so it's kind of also a way for me to say, are you actually coming? Like, are you actually gonna volunteer and show up?
Need to know.
You get
Yeah.
the commitment.
Yeah.
on the dunk tank, is it employees only or can board members get thrown there?
That I was wondering.
I have a few in mind.
I would think, because technically they consider us
I think it
part
could,
of the town, so
Right.
I think that we probably.
I think it could fit for both.
Fortunately, I'm not around.
Yeah, neither are you, so.
I think we just got your first volunteer to the dunk tank.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If there's any questions, email me. Maybe I'll have an answer.
Thank you, thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
I love some good picket farm there.
Do we want to
They're
just
awesome.
jump back quickly on the agenda? Do we have any discussion about the proposed school camps, or are we okay with?
I don't think we can do anything about it.
There's nothing
So I was at the meeting when it came, the final budget meeting when it came
Yeah.
up. And it was abundantly clear in that meeting between Laura and the AD of working and communicating with you to create no conflict and so
So-
forth. I don't know if that's changed,
It
but I
has,
did give the athletic director the
Yeah.
screenshots of the camps that were already booked.
yeah,
There was a discussion about really not doing a soccer camp, because best soccer,
right,
so they don't want that conflict. So that was the discussion.
Yeah.
Communication has been an
meeting.
issue, that hopefully has been addressed. You know, part of the problem with the camp piece is that it's not just a conflict of the not overlapping our weeks. There's the other conflict of it's really hard when you have, if you're a family that has more limited income, now you're gonna have to choose between 2 weeks of camp. If they choose their camp over our camp, and we have been working hard over the last year to try to get a full-time rec director position, and, you know, this just sort of throws a curveball into some of this. You know, this is her wheelhouse, and another department's trying to take it. I don't think there's anything we can do. I wish they would refocus and do middle school and high school, which is,
Right.
those are the age groups we don't offer right now. But I think at the end of the day, they're gonna need to figure out what they're doing. And I'm not sure they have 100% have all their ducks in a row anyway, cause there's, you know, they,
One member was concerned that it would even get off the ground this year anyway.
Right,
because
so,
it's just starting now,
Right.
kind of deal. so
right,
It wasn't very clear.
yeah,
And Laura said that, discussion afterwards, that's your, your
Yeah.
wheelhouse, so
yeah,
talk with
I
her,
think
'cause she
it's,
knows
I
the
think it's
deal.
hard when you've been, making a good relationship and building it with the community and with the certain vendors I'm using, because the word gets out, most people are really happy with everybody we've had. So I think it's a little frustrating and disheartening when you build all these things up just to maybe have other things get in the way. I think if they wanted to offer ages we don't, I think that would have been a lot better, obviously for us. You know, I don't think we can do anything about it, and like I said, I think I've had this summer, most of it scheduled for like a month now, which I think is helpful for everyone planning their summer. So I think it will be hard for them to get that off the ground this summer. I think that's difficult. And not only that, but the Board of Health has pretty strict regulations if you call something a camp or whatever, so I don't know, they have criteria they're gonna have to meet as well. But I was hoping we could work, together in some sort, but we'll have to see.
I'm
It's-
happy to try and foster that in
You
some
know,
capacity.
We're doing what we can.
I
That's
speak somewhat regularly with the athletic director, so I can
yeah.
try and, I don't know, I'm happy to,
I think a lot's just changed this
Help
year,
with some.
like also with the school moving out of TCP and stuff like that. At least like in that circumstance, we're gonna be able to offer more things in TCP. So I think that's a silver lining to all these changes happening. I don't really know about the actual camp portion of it. I think it's gonna be a touch and go situation on like how that goes. But I have a good relationship with the vendors we have. I think they've been doing a great job, so I'm like confident in what we're offering at least.
Yeah.
I wish we had more variety, but it's, like
It's
Joseph
definitely
said, I only have
discussion,
19
not-
hours a week to use to like build these programs, so I think that's another big piece of the puzzle is that like I can't even be here for all the programs I'm running, which makes it hard like to have FaceTime with like the people that are in the programs, unless they stop by my office or I see them in something else.
Right.
But
it was definitely a discussion anyway, of not having conflicting programs.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah, I think if they would have done a middle
So if they
school.
want to offer a field hockey program or a
Right.
cross program or something with the high school kids or something,
Yeah.
that seemed to be kind
Yeah.
of the focus of that.
If that's their intent, that'd be great, but the more communication we can keep going
Yeah.
between, that'd
Yeah.
be great, so.
that's where I think it's the communication piece that,
Yeah.
it's, somebody told me, oh, well, Angela should reach out to the athletic director. Well, we're not the ones trying to
No,
start up
that's-
a camp,
no.
it needs to be the other way, and,
Right.
It's also really hard for me to get an email back from the athletic director
Yes,
sometimes,
and,
so.
it's understanding, we're all in this together, I think is important, but,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
have any say over them, so,
Yeah.
Well, everyone's fine with Chris being our
I-
spokesperson to the athletic
I'm
director?
happy to talk about it. So
Yeah, I
it's-
just-
So
I
if you tell me what the,
Let's
I don't know.
let's chat later. I
We
think
can
that there's a lot of other dynamics going on. You know, it never hurts to open that line of conversation, but,
Mhm.
there's a lot of moving pieces at the
Yeah.
moment.
I just don't wanna feel like it's competing, that's all. I don't think that's good for anyone in the town.
that was the message, leaving that meeting, that was kind of the message?
Yeah.
What they wanted.
That's been the
Since that,
message for weeks.
since that meeting, I don't know what the,
I really
Like, I
haven't
don't
had
know
any
what's happened,
communication
okay.
with anyone about it. It kind of just like popped out of thin air for me, cause I don't go back and watch these meetings, like, at all.
Yeah,
So,
like,
I don't live in town, I only work 19 hours a week, I don't go home and like look at the meetings and like
Yeah.
rewatch things, so I never know like
Yeah, it was a
what's
random
happening.
I had no
Message.
idea there was anything going on.
Yes, okay, that makes me feel a little better.
It was a random text message a few weeks ago to Angela and Chris to say, heads up, they're just gonna do a camp, and then it looks like they had wheeled back on it, and then it picked up momentum, because they didn't even seem to be talking amongst themselves.
Right.
And then it sort of picked up momentum, and then
it was very new at that meeting,
it,
and it seems like it was like,
that was old in terms of their time frame, because this had started a few weeks before that, but
It was cool.
we'll figure it out.
yeah, the final budget.
So, anyway.
Okay, so do we have any other questions for Angela?
No.
Okay, Angela, thank you so
Well,
much.
you guys know where I am, so thank you guys.
Reach out whenever you need, let me know, and I'll.
Yes, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Alright, have a good night, guys.
see what I can tell.
Okay, I'm gonna jump to agenda item 8, where we have Chris here, and then we can let him head out as well.
I have to go to TCP tomorrow.
You want me to do that?
No, it's all right.
So, number 8 being Marshall Park updates. So, obviously, the selectmen have, their process of deciding which articles they're actually going to include on the warrant, and thankfully, our article is intended to be on the warrant for the borrowing for Marshall Park. We, have it written so that what we are asking for at this point is funding for the full project, and with the understanding that if we feel it's appropriate, we would make a motion to reduce that to be just funding for the phase 1 plus the pavilion/concession stand/restroom facility building that would be near the playground. So everyone should have, if you have an agenda packet, everyone should have the information that we've received back from bond council. So just to summarize cost, the cost for the full project, which would mean it would be, the access in from Marshall Park, it would be the parking on the Marshall Park side of the park, it would be Mass Ave, excuse me, thank you, Mass Ave side. And it would be the playground, it would be the pickleball courts, basketball court. Those would be kind of around the area where the skate park will be built. We'll be discussing that in a few minutes. The pavilion building, as I discussed, would be next to the playground area. And then the full project would also include the rebuilding of the men's baseball diamond and some minor updates and such to the women's softball field area. There'd be the walking paths around that, and there would be parking off of Chestnut Street. So that's the full project. The cost for the full project is $13,735,372. So if we go with the phase 1, the smaller project, that would just be the, all the stuff around the Mass Ave side, the parking there, the playground, the pavilion building, pickleball courts, basketball court, and just walkways around there, that area. And that would be $6,460,691. So the bond council has been working with us to try to determine what would these numbers mean in terms of impact to people's tax bill. So if you look at the packet that looks like this, Marshall Park funding impact, multi-sheet. If you go to, you see that they've given us scenarios for the full project, all phases as they're calling it. and for the phase one only, as they're calling it. And for each option, they're giving us a 15-year bonding period or an 18-year bonding period. We went through a lot of work with them to explain to them what is in terms of equipment and improvements to the park that would be part of this project, either the full or the partial. And, you know, they've determined that it would be feasible for 18-year borrowing. Not the 20 that we originally had hoped that it would be, but 18-year borrowing. So if you go to page 4 in this packet, you see that for the full project, everything, if we do the 18-year borrowing, that column to the right where it says average single-family house, it shows that the impact to the taxpayer on the average single house would be roughly $231 a year for the 18-year period. It goes, you know, it's a little bit less in the beginning and it's a little bit less at the very end, but call it $231 per year for the full project for 18-year borrowing. Then if you go to page 7, we're looking at the 18 years for the phase 1 plus pavilion building. And basically it's $111 per year for that smaller project. You know, a little bit less in the beginning and then basically $111 annually to each household tax bill. So those are the numbers we're looking at for tax impact. We'll be discussing this more with the finance director and the town manager over the next few weeks. But I wanted you all to have this information so that if people start asking you, what does this mean? You'll have the information in front of you.
$20 a month.
So,
The price of 20 cups of coffee, you can have a new car.
all right, so that's that. In terms of preparation for town meeting, we had talked about having the 2 public information sessions, and we figured those would be in April. And I think we need to decide what dates we want now, today, so that we can, you know, confirm it with people like the architect and OPM who need to be present with us at these meetings. So can we look at our calendars? I think we had decided that we wanted to have one be an evening meeting and another be daytime meeting. So I don't know if that means that one would be like a weeknight and then another one could perhaps be on a Saturday morning. It's, you know, it's up for us to decide what we want, trying to make it so that we, you know, not everyone can make weeknights and not everybody can make Saturdays, so.
The only thing I don't know is what nights I'm coaching soccer, which will start.
So if we're looking to do like an evening one, I'm thinking tentatively like Thursday, April 10th. How does that look for people?
It's open on my end.
That's fine.
Where do you wanna have it?
Well, that's, now that we know dates, we need to figure out best location.
I have a Groton road race meeting, but I can probably skip that. I should be able to skip that.
So it appears for, you know, we don't all have to be there. If we could, that'd be great. So Thursday, April 10th, that'd be an evening meeting. And when we say evening, what time do you think? 7 p.m., 6:30?
Do it 7, because that's when most of our meetings start, so I think
7
that's a little
p.m.?
bit consistent.
Okay, all right. And then what about, you know, this concept of a daytime meeting or a morning meeting?
So the question to me, the question that I pose to you guys is, would we wanna aim for something on a Saturday morning, or would we wanna do something a weekday at some point in the afternoon to try to hit some of our seniors? And maybe even consider doing it at the senior center.
Would Saturday still hit the seniors?
It might still hit the seniors. They just, some of them don't like to drive at night,
Right.
so if we can.
Oh, I say daytime.
Yeah,
on a
so
Saturday.
what, either,
I'm
I
100%
guess that's my-
office right now, so I'm not.
I guess that's what my, well, you don't have to be at all at the
I
minimum,
know,
but,
but I'd rather
No, but to Chris's point, I think if we're, I think
Either
when
what's
during
fine.
the day is good, I think having it at the adult activity
be, that was
center.
her.
that was me.
Yeah,
Sorry, Deb.
no, I think that makes sense. But I think a Saturday, I mean, I know every soccer, everything, everybody's, you know, baseball, everybody's activities are gonna start up, but during the week is not necessarily.
I mean, we could even do the.
That's
Good-
that's
good
all
for
practices
people.
and everything else.
You
Yeah,
know, but
whatever.
I mean, even during the week, during the day, even in the afternoon is difficult for people, at least if you know, you can't make it for everybody, but if you have one on an evening, a weeknight, and one on a Saturday morning, you're at least
Cover your bases.
trying to, right, like a daytime during the week is
So it's
hard
here,
for.
the Saturday days that we have are, the 12th, the 19th, that's actually Easter weekend, if that makes a difference
Yeah,
to
I
anybody.
wouldn't do the Easter weekend.
Or the 26th.
Personally, I feel like having that on the Saturday after the first one would be easier to digest, because then you have that data kind of right in your mind.
So that would be the 12th.
Yeah. but-
I just think the only, I would almost think the opposite of going towards the end of the month, because
Closer to time meeting.
So the
closer
only,
to time meeting, and it also gives you time to
Learn.
adjust answers, learn from,
Yeah.
learn from the
exactly.
first,
You don't
adjust,
have
gather
any
more
time.
data. If
That's
someone
true.
has questions, we really don't have an answer for it, then we only have 3 days to find
Yeah,
that
exactly.
information versus,
the
2.5 weeks
26th is
to find
1 week
information.
out from, is just 1 week out from town meeting.
And if we're not doing something at the senior center, maybe we just get a board printed up to put there with like a fact sheet and,
Yeah, we
you know,
can
an
do that.
email address, because, you know, other than Mondays, they're packed over there. So that it'll get a lot of traffic, and those are the people that do vote.
Mhm.
You know, people go to town meeting and everyone forgets the elections after.
Yep.
So,
Well, and maybe they would come back on a Saturday morning if we.
Yeah, the only thing, we can figure out a location, of course, for any place, for any of these dates, but the senior center is probably a little harder on the weekends because they're closed, and I think that they typically have somebody open it for you, and I don't like to have to ask one of their staff to come in on the weekend. But I mean, the library is right there too, we can always hit the library.
Yeah,
yeah, the bigger conference room in the library.
yeah,
Mhm.
and there's plenty of parking there.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I hear people say we're looking
The
at?
only thing about that Saturday, doing it Saturday morning, if you think this makes a difference, is that sports have already started.
Well, that's what I mean, like, I know that's all gonna
Okay,
get
so-
started,
okay.
but during the, you know, I mean, I don't know, I guess it depends on who we're targeting. But if we're trying to make one for any,
Yeah, no, that works. So like at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, do you think? Or,
Mhm.
yeah, that works. I think that's good.
Should we post some signs, get some signs printed up and, you know, laminated to put around Marshall Park for all the actual users that are there?
Once we confirm the location and make sure that these dates work for the architect and the OPM, we can get some flyers out there.
if they had a simple website or something, you could put a QR code on it, which would go to, you
Yeah.
can see the pictures and things like that.
Yeah,
I would hazard the QR code being the main thing. There's been a whole bunch of scams lately, so people, I
Oh, they
won't,
won't scan it.
I won't
Yeah.
scan unless I'm sitting in a restaurant, I know it's their menu. I won't
Yeah,
scan.
that's true. Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
okay.
There's been some scams out there where people scan them and it pulls all your passwords off your phone and
Yeah.
but
Mm. Okay. All right, so we're looking at Saturday, the 26th at 10 a.m., Thursday, the 10th at 7 p.m. Locations to be determined. Karen, do you have ability to check to see what availability there would be at the library? Okay.
Yep, I'm on it. So it was the 10th?
The 10th at 7 p.m. That's a Thursday.
This is oh, it's not, so it's not available on that,
That Thursday?
correct, it's not available till 8:30. And let me check
Way
that.
too late.
And I don't know if Pilata's gonna be open, that's the only other big room that I think we have.
TCP gym's always an option.
That's a good one, because we have control of that.
Well, I do at least.
Yeah.
It's not a
And
park
it's-
property yet.
Not a Parks property.
It's actually, it's not available on Saturday, the 26th either,
Interesting.
so that one's totally out.
Okay.
So for TCP, we just have to make sure Angela isn't running a program.
Do we have chairs over there?
We have quite a few chairs over there, actually.
Okay.
Generally donated by a school in town.
Oh, yes, that's right, that's right, that's right. Sorry.
I was like, I think there's about 75.
It's a few chairs.
Okay.
Okay,
That, do you want to just plan to do it at TC Passios, since we,
so once we get confirmed with Angela that
Okay.
she doesn't have anything planned.
Okay.
So, okay, can you confirm that with her tomorrow and let us know? And then once I hear that, then I'll, contact the OPM and the architect, the landscape architect, and we'll get that finalized.
Presumably they won't mind, or they may mind, but they would be anticipating a Saturday.
They
being
are
an option,
anticipating.
right? Yeah.
They've gotta be flexible. We haven't asked them to attend many meetings, so. All right. There's a request, I had a phone call from Dave Rogers the other day, and he was asking whether it would be possible to maintain a space within Marshall Park where it could be an area to put memorials to people who have been, you know, strongly involved in Marshall Park over the years, you know, in the same way that we have the memorial scoreboard, got a bench, that type of thing. You know, and he wasn't really, you know, he didn't really have any concept of what it would look like. You know, he and the other families, you know, are having that conversation, but he wanted to have us at least start the discussion to determine if it was even something that we'd be willing to do. I mean, I kind of like the idea of it being in one location.
Didn't you talk about that at one point? Like moving all the, I thought at one point we talked about the memorials, because they are spread out around the park, and moving them to put them in one. I thought we had at some point in our discussion, we talked about putting them all in one spot.
We might have, it's not been
On the
part of the
surface.
design.
It wasn't
but-
it wasn't a big, but it was like, I think it was something
In
that we
theory.
definitely had talked about.
Yeah, so, if it's something that we feel, you know, we would be interested in doing, you know, Dave was saying that in his thought process, it would be great if it was something that could be added on to over the years. You know, not just people now, but, you know, future. So whether it's, you know, a plaque where names get added or, you know, yet to be determined. But if we're willing to consider that, then I think we should start to have a quick discussion with the landscape architect to determine the best place to put that. And of course, I think it will make a difference in terms of, you know, whether we go with a full phase construction or we're just doing phase one. So, you know, if we're just doing phase one, then maybe somewhere near the pavilion building where that would attract a lot of people. You know, some nice area, but yet to be determined. So do we want to take a vote, or do we all feel comfortable, you know, letting Dave say, you know, that continue conversation with families, and we'll look to try to identify an appropriate location?
If we need a vote, I would certainly take a vote, but it's certainly something we should continue out. I know there's memorials in there, we don't want to lose that history. So if some sort of garden with a plaque that we can add to, or at the pavilion, or whatever seems most appropriate, that would,
Okay. Well, we will address it at the next design team meeting, and then,
can we go back to the public meeting?
Yep.
So the last night of volleyball at TC Passios is on the 10th. Tuesday the 10th.
okay.
And we can't go over to Bellata because that is the second Thursday of the month. FinCom has Bellata meeting room that night.
Back to our calendars.
we go to a Wednesday, since we meet on Wednesday?
Let me see.
Wednesday the 9th?
I could do that.
That works for me.
It's actually better for me than.
So 4-9, what was it going?
4:26.
4:26.
10 a.m.
I don't see any other. There's Wednesday afternoon pickleball, but that's over at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So we could do both those days there. I can also look at Wallace again. since-
Okay, so we're doing Wednesday the 9th now. And the Saturday the 26th looked clear.
Yeah, because we don't, it's,
No weekend
we need to
events.
verify it, but she
Mhm.
doesn't run any weekend activities.
Okay. All right, good.
And it's not available at, the library anyway, so we can do both of them. And she's fast, we just have to obviously clear both dates with Angela.
Okay, and you'll let us know tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
Run, Chris, run.
Let's see, was there anything else? I think that's it, if you wanna, thank you, appreciate it. In getting ready for these presentations, you know, in discussing it at the last design team meeting, you know, Ray was totally fine with us, you know, handing over the majority of the, you know, explanation of design, et cetera, to he and his team. The OPM would be there to answer any other questions. And then what I was thinking was that, you know, after that's done, then, you know, I could speak or one of us could speak to, you know, the tax impacts. And we'll, you know, by that time we'll have had a chance to, you know, go over, make sure that there's no reason why we can't go the 18 years for both scenarios, or, you know, the finance director may say, no, you know, if you're gonna go with just the phase one, you might just need to go to the 15 year. And you've got all that information there, so it's all there for you to look at.
It may be a good idea for one of us, or more than one of us, to also do like before RDLA kicks it off, like their piece of it, might be good to just give a, you know,
History.
yeah, like hey, here we are, we've been working on this for, you know, so many years, this is who we are, and, you know, that sort of thing, so it has more of that local touch before it jumps into all the nitty-gritty pieces of the park.
Mhm.
Did you say we're doing this in an auditorium type
TCP, the gym.
gym? They have like microphone, or actually you don't need a microphone.
We probably won't need, I don't imagine we're gonna get that many people attending,
Yeah,
so I'm sure it'll be fine,
voice of care.
yeah. I think everybody's pretty good at,
Audible enough.
yeah. All right, so I'm opening with who we are, what our goals are, then giving a history of the project development, when it started, where we are, you know, got to today. Then have the review of the design by the architectural landscape architect team. And then, you know, tax impacts. And reminder about, it's a two-part vote, because this is a debt exclusion vote, so it's a vote both at town meeting and on the ballot question.
Did that get figured out yet on what happens with the ballot question if it gets broken, one section gets broken out?
Jen's still working on that,
Okay.
she's gonna speak to
Okay.
town council. Yeah. It may be that both questions have to be on the ballot and one just gets passed over, you know, so.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll get more information on that before these meetings start. Okay. Yeah, so if everyone could, you know, commit to attending, that'd be great, because I think it's important for us to show a sign of solidarity on this. But if you can't make it, you know, no big deal, we'll just, if you could just let me know, so we can go from there. Okay, anything else on Marshall Park that people have? Okay. All right, we have no invoices for approval. Discussion about upcoming board reorganization. So, by the time the election gets here, we will have a new member. Tim is bowing out, and
Unfortunately.
Marianne Mascari from Chestnut Street is running to fill your 3-year position there.
Nice.
So I think she'll be a great addition. But at that point, I'll have been a chair for over a year, and there's no way I'm continuing. So I need somebody to be willing to take it on. So we don't need an answer on that tonight, but we can maybe figure it out by our next meeting.
We all
That'd be
have a
helpful.
Everyone's looking at me. I I have reservation of being able to contribute to the level that I think some people have contributed. Mainly because I am in the office full time now, I don't work at home
You aren't
at all.
holding yourself to a standard that I've created, are you?
No.
Don't,
Not your
because-
standard, no.
Don't.
Just, no, but I think there's things that, like, need to happen. I have a senior in high school next year, so timing, I don't know what I'm getting into with that, so, there's some reservations that I would have, a little bit. So,
I think you can do it.
And there's always a co-chair too. I mean, I haven't had to call upon Colleen.
No, because I am not here willingly, and as, so,
I assume the vice chair is
As
well into
vice
that
chair.
position.
This is your community service?
no, I'm on the committee willingly, I did not want to be vice chair, and I do not want to be chair.
And
This
I
is
only
the
have
end of
one
my,
year.
my public serving on
And I have 1 year
committees.
left and I do not plan on running again, so although I'm always, I mean, if worse comes to worse, I'll step back into that position that I just feel like the same voice puts it in the same direction, and that's not always for the best either, so, I don't, if I have to step back into it for a year, I certainly would step back into it for a year, but sometimes knowing what's coming next, somebody else may wanna have a little bit of experience before those with the experience are done. So, we can talk about it.
Okay, I just wanted to put that thought out there. All right.
No pressure, Chris.
No.
Okay, we've got chair updates. I don't have anything. Commission member updates, anything going on with?
No, do we need,
Open space, no.
did you need to do 6 and 7, or are we just skipping them?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Marshall Park user fees, thank you. Basically, I just have it here because I want to keep it on the agenda. Chris and I have been pulling information from different communities, but it's literally like pulling teeth. It's so hard to get the information. I'm hoping that maybe by the next meeting in April, we'll have at least maybe another town or two that have been willing to talk to us. So I'm pushing that off to the April meeting.
Can you do me a favor, I guess? Can we change it to just park user fees, because it's not gonna be just Marshall
Okay.
Park?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'm gonna say on it, as you're killing yourselves to get all of this, is we don't have to do what other towns are doing. Sometimes it's, it's great to have that information, but at the end of the day, our budget crisis is our own, and if we, we're gonna have to do what we have to do to make sure that we're sustaining our parks.
I think of crowdsourcing, like just figures,
Yeah. No, I think it's a good idea, I'm just throwing that out
see
there.
what other towns are doing.
Yeah, because that people are gonna ask, well, what are other towns doing? So we need to show that we've done our due diligence.
And if you can't find out, if you can't get satisfactory
Answers.
then that's the answer.
Yeah.
But, I do
Couldn't find
think
the
it
answer for me
is.
today.
Well, I think I've had an answer from Clinton for a while. I didn't know you were looking for it. Sorry.
Well, she didn't tell me she gave an answer, so that was good.
I think I got one from them.
I was trying to
Okay.
hear from Groton, I'm trying to hear
So
from
maybe it's possible Clinton was
Westminster,
the
what was
one I
it,
did.
Westminster? What was the other one I was trying to track? Westminster, maybe.
Anyway, so we're gonna push that off to April under park user fees. Okay,
That
skate
makes
park
sense.
update. I did speak to the president of the organization, and they are still looking to do the construction this summer. They're feeling very hopeful about that. They did have some questions about, the design of Marshall Park and how that is gonna fit around what their design is. So we did authorize the engineer from he's a sub for the landscape architect. He is going to be having a conversation with Greg Roy, who is the engineer for the skate park group. So they were gonna have a conversation to allay those fears. So I'm assuming that by, the next design team meeting, I'll find out that everything's all set. But, we designed around their design. So as long as they're not changing the design, everything should work very cohesively. But they just, were not familiar with what our design was or our process. So, we just needed to give them some assurance. Okay, back to any member updates? None? Okay, approval of minutes, we've got 2 sets, January 15th and February 19th. I've read them, they look fine.
Make a motion to approve both.
Second.
There was, one place in February 15th where they have me down as A. Shapiro.
Oh, you don't wanna be A. Shapiro?
So, well, I mean, I'll be whatever they want me to be, but
You are.
I'm not, in fact, A. Shapiro.
So, do you wanna amend your motion to?
I will, motion to approve both minutes, changing the A. Shapiro to C. Shapiro
Excellent.
in the February 15th minutes.
A. Shapiro. Really?
She was A. Shapiro.
I know, but I don't. February 19th? Oh, there it is. Got it.
Okay. So all in favor with that motion? Aye. Okay. All right, upcoming meeting dates. So we've just given ourselves a lot of work for April. Do you think we're gonna need a regular meeting date in
No.
addition?
I was gonna say,
It's very chair-worthy of you there. It's very, very executive.
It's not executive.
The only thing I can think of would be for lifeguards, but even at that, I don't think that, I mean, they've always asked if they've run it by us, and this, you know, Angela's been keeping us up to date, so I can't imagine we need to have a regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
These meetings are, like, our meetings are posted, should we?
These will be posted,
Should we
but I'll do it
include
as a public presentation and.
Should we include an agenda just to cover bases if there was something we needed to talk about? We could do that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna post it, then we can always amend it even at the very last minute
That's
to
true, it could be, yeah,
reflect.
if we have something that
Yeah.
we need to talk about, it can be
Yeah.
added to April 26th or something.
Yeah, because we can just do it
Doesn't need to be
right at the
lengthy.
end or something.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, we're all there and we are discussing park business, so it is a
Parks
meeting of the
meeting.
commission,
Right, it has
so.
to be a meeting anyway.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and anything else we wanna talk about before we adjourn?
Public comment? Dave's here. Dave?
Dave?
Thanks for joining us, Dave.
He's good at it.
All right, here.
I'm good.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Dave. The voice will be on.
From Presidential Highway in Jefferson, New Hampshire. Sorry, Dave, I just publicly broadcast your location.
Blasted.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And what time is it?
8:27.
Okay.